Hello. Today's episode number 91 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses casino reopening updates. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of New Mexico. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is a podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over Oklahoma casino reopenings from my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed New Jersey slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live Q&A session. Hello, fellow slots enthusiasts. It's great to hang out with you for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. If you've ever walked into a casino, looked around, and wondered what's going on with slots, I can help. Master Casino Slots, win your way to success. This is my live stream Q&A session on May 16th, 2020, held every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on my Professor Slots John Friedel YouTube channel. Every Saturday for the last 6 months. I think we're up to 26 episodes of just this, besides my produced videos. So if you are here live, it's great to hang out with you and talk about slots. I got here a few minutes early, and there's plenty of chats going on. As I mentioned, I think last time, we have a pretty good live chat going every time, and I've seen 2,000 view streams, not get nearly as much chat as we do. In any case, for these live streams, I either review an interesting news item, perhaps from one of my state-by-state Facebook slots communities, go over relevant slots issues raised during my conversations with slots enthusiasts, which I think you should know about, which is kind of what we're going to do today, or I'll expand on my slots-related videos or articles of the last week, get some feedback, and maybe talk about what's not in the videos and could be on the next video. Also, I do my best every time to answer your slots-related questions during this weekly Q&A session. Before we get to today's topic, as usual, let's welcome everybody on the live chat. If you're with us during the live stream, make sure you say hello in the live chat. Not that I have to tell this group that much, don't have to tell this group that very much. They're very active. And let us know which state or country in which you are located. If you play slots somewhere else, let us know that too. To help grow our slots community and encourage YouTube to send more slots players our way for this live stream, please like this live stream and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just heard a few minutes ago from someone on the Facebook group saying, hey, I saw your live Q&A and I found you on Facebook and joined and all of that. So please like this live stream and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It would be great to build more and more people coming in. It's even more lively than it already is. But let's see who's with us today. So looking over the live chat, that's a lot of messages. Chip wishes everybody a happy day. He's in the Buckeye State, which means Ohio, and he has named himself John's Jovial Jack Potter. And this was before I got there, so he's waiting for me. Family, friends, Lois and Dave are here from Ontario. Chip says, okay, I guess we're talking about chocolate now. Cinnamon tea, Tazi chocolate, anyway. Now we're getting into tea specialties. But Scott says, I'm anxious to see what we hear about the Oklahoma openings. And there's let's go over that. Certainly, that's. I have some videos and some news articles, a couple of news articles that I thought would help people get an understanding. They include walkthroughs of casinos. Anyway, we'll go over some of that, but we'll definitely get to Oklahoma, Washington, perhaps even Nevada, and a few others that have been with casinos that have opened. Yeah. Scott, does it ever not rain where you are? Missouri, right? Yeah, so Scott also asked the question, what do people think about the lines? And there's some great photos in some of the, I won't be sharing the photos because the slots communities are private. Just try to stick with first names if I even use first names. But some people have posted photos of what the lines look like, and it's kind of a sight. But we'll talk about that. Let's see. So Robert, welcome Robert. Chip again. Yep. Okay. Okay, back to a conversation at tea. I know last time we talked about gardens. I hope everybody's garden's doing well. No, let's stick with slots here. Although tea seems to be important. Yes, Western North Carolina from Richard. That's where he's from. He's here. And Greener Pastures, hello. Chris, right? I see people's handles, but I don't always see people's names. Robert says hello from Dallas, Texas. Steve, hey Steve. Steve's here. He's in Wisconsin. Jan, TX Tootsie. She's Jan from Texas, plays mostly in Louisiana. William is here. William, welcome. I've liked your posts, your comments. Tony is here. Hello, Tony. Denise, she lives in Texas, plays in Oklahoma. And she says, maybe. Given how many conversations I've had with her, that's very Denise. Yep. Greener Pastures, Michigan. Yes. Home of the lockdown. I'm from Michigan. Did you see the SNL video with Cecily Strong? The Michigan jokes, I don't know that anybody got that, but I thought they were funny. We're not out of the woods yet, but then we never will be. Michigan humor. So Teresa is here from North Carolina. Prefer to play in Vegas and MGM National Harbor in Maryland. Good choices. Bob is here from Arizona. I was calling him Robert earlier. And William is from Central Massachusetts. I'm looking forward to, well, in some ways I am looking forward to other reopenings in additional states, because I think a lot of people have a lot to say, but if you haven't got an open casino within driving distance, then, they're just kind of like waiting. And given how active Oklahoma has been and Washington, it's pretty, and people in the surrounding states, could be a bit of a frenzy. I'm glad there's like a phased reopening. It's a lot of questions to answer. So Scott is in Ozark, Missouri, travels to Nebraska, Oklahoma. Tony, let's see. Oh, Tony says he's got his invite to Hera Casinos. Did you say what state you're in, Tony? And David is here. Oklahoma, can the casinos turn up or down the machines while playing? Yes. Well, yes, Oklahoma has Class 2 machines, bingo machines, competition-based, and then they have Class 3. Both types, Class 3, which is games of chance, not games of skill. And they have both. It's about a 45%, 55% ratio, with 45 being Class 2, and they follow different laws. So they can turn them up basically without limit on the Class 2, turn them up or turn them down, but they can't offend their players, or the players won't come back. And we had some of that happen earlier this year in Oklahoma, as you may recall, and part of the governor fight, whatever, and they really got the players upset, so people left, and they've had to try to woo them back later. So you can do quite a bit of that with the Class 2, but the Class 3 usually has a lower limit, particularly in states outside of Oklahoma, and those lower limits aren't very low. So, there's more restrictions on their taking advantage. But if you have another question like that, we can try to cover it, or send me an email and et cetera, and I'll try to explain that or point you to an article that I've written on the topic. But certainly people are asking a lot of that questions now. So thank you, Tony, North Carolina. Scott, that's the Harrah's in North Carolina, tribal casino. So Scott is northeast Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma slots community has been pretty good. A lot of people are talking there, and one of the things they say is, but does anybody know of an open casino in northwestern Oklahoma? And people in the south are like, well, no, and people in the north are like, well, yeah. and so it gets at some point, if the Oklahoma slots community gets big, really big, then I might have to start creating like northern Oklahoma, western Oklahoma slots. Hey, Larry's here. Thank you for showing up, Larry. Larry has some restrictions. He's in the UK. Hopefully he can stay a little bit longer than last time, but it's great to see you here. So, okay, right. Yes, thanks again for joining us, especially the live people here live, but also to the podcast audience who will be listening to this when it comes out tomorrow evening, and also those who will be watching the video later. I don't mean to exclude you. In fact, it could be that, it is true that far more people will watch this after the live show than will during the show. It's hundreds of people. This last one, it's just hundreds of people, and long term, it's hard to say what it'll be after a year of looking at this. So please, if you're listening on the podcast, watching the video later, or here with us live on the live stream, I'm glad you're all here. Our topic today is about casino updates because, well, it's what everyone is interested in. I thought about talking about a slots topic, which I would do, prior to the closings of the casinos, because I want to, use the Q&A sessions as a way to get feedback and answer your questions and see what you'd like next. But everybody wants to know about the reopening, so we'll just talk about that. And if you have questions, I'll answer it, as I've already done a couple times today. This live stream. But with all the casino reopenings, it's an urgent need, which this show is actually uniquely positioned to help. Why? Because of our many slots communities as private Facebook groups. As I mentioned last week, I've started many Facebook groups. This would have been about November, October. I think it was early October last year, and it's taken a little while to sort of get the word out. I mention it and send emails and etc., and it grows, and just in time for all of this, because I have one. It's 57 of them. I know it's like an outrageous number. It gets really busy sometimes, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, where are all these messages coming from? But I try to answer every comment and, or at least add something to the conversation. But I have one for every U.S. state, territory, and the federal district. Plus, I have another one called Professor Slots Enthusiasts, which is more of a nationwide, global slots topics. And we, if it matters to everybody, then we try to put stuff there, kind of conversations. And people in one state can learn from another state, but this is where you go if you want to get like a bit more general overview of things. So to find my private slots communities on Facebook, visit professorslots.com/FB to see the full list. And it's a web page I created where you can just click your state or the state you're interested in. I will, as I've said before, will drop this into the live chat, which you won't be able to see later unless you're here live. But I will take these links that I'm about to present to you and put them in the description for the podcast and also in the description for the video. So don't worry, you won't be able to see the live chat unless you're here, and all the colorful comments and etc. But you'll be able to find these in the links I'm talking about. No reason for me to just say www.youtube.com /watch V = T8. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So what this last week, we have been getting more information because more and more casinos are starting to get to open, so we've got more to talk about. For instance, we're getting news reports from local news stations, and they'll put their video, their interview up on YouTube, and one of them comes to us from Arizona, which is close to Las Vegas, and CBS 5 News in Arizona has put out a video on YouTube called "The Future of Gaming in Las Vegas." Not the best title, I thought, but provocative, I suppose, a little bit of a clickbaity sort of thing, but they do seem to deliver. So I'm going to give you the link. This one I might see what I do. I might put this or the other one in the at the end of the video as the next video of this live stream. So take a look at that. And looks like lots of chats going on. I'll come back to that in a minute when I have a space to jump in on that. Not trying to not interrupt myself as much as I have in the past. So in that video that I just shared, and you'll see it wherever you're watching this or listening to this from later, that some casinos in Arizona were scheduled to reopen yesterday. That is to say Friday, May 15th, 2020. And this news report came out 2 days before on Wednesday. Part of the segment is a live report from within Lone Butte Casino, where they show changes to the casino. Now, you may remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about partitions, plexiglass partitions, self-wiping, and all this other stuff, but it was mostly just simulations. And now we have video of people inside empty casinos where workers are preparing for an upcoming reopening, and they're being floor managers being interviewed about preparations. So that's better information. And I thought you might not be in Arizona, you might not be going to Lone Butte. What's the odds, right? So you could, but you could look at that and say, this is one thing you might see. Now, people have been asking about being in line, and what's that like, and we'll get to that. But one of the things that I've noticed this video and the next video is they don't show the lines. And I think that's a problem area, which they're not advertising, but we'll get back to that. So part of this report is live interviewing at Lone Butte Casino, and they show changes to the casino, such as plexiglass barriers on either side of slot machine chairs. And like I said, you might find something like this at yours. It's the best practical example of what can be done, I think, and I want to make sure I share that with you. There's another report. It comes from CNN. It's not a YouTube video, but it is a video. It's on CNN, and I will share that now for you. Here you go. And there's like a delay of 20 seconds or so, so hopefully all this is coming out when I say it is. Right, so on this one, it says, "See Iconic Casino's Unprecedented Situation." And again, another one of those titles that is all very marketing and proved at high levels sort of thing. And it's about Caesar's Palace on the Las Vegas Strip. And I'm not going to go through it play by play. That's there for you to look at. But it was interesting to see Caesar's Palace being completely empty. I mean, it's still shocking to know, that all the casinos were closed, that only a few of them are open. But to actually have video of the casino floor with the lights turned down and all the machines off and nobody around except people talking, news reporter interviewing, executive from the casino, more than just a floor manager at Caesar's Palace, and they talk about safety precautions. But it must have been a bit of a nightmare. I mean, I'm something of an audio guy, right? I'm doing audio and a podcast and all this, and they had echoes. They had all kinds of echoes when they were talking, and it must have been distracting for the audio engineer trying to work with that. But one of the points that they made was, when you have people in a room, it kind of knocks the sound around a little bit, and that prevents the echoes like you would if you were in a canyon or something. So kind of like my rounded walls aren't smooth, and that helps to keep the echoes down. And so When will you ever see that? A closed casino, lights down, equipment off? Now, right? So, in any case, they were talking about that. What they were showing, they were talking about the preparations. There's plenty of excellent details in this, but just a few things I want to mention here is they had not the every other slot machine was going to be turned off. That's what their plan is. It wasn't going to be removed. It was only 50% shut down. That, it's not 6 feet from one to the other. Well, it might be close to 6 feet. But what they're going to do is put plexiglass up between the slot machines, have not the slot machines turned off, but have a sign on them saying out of service, which I can imagine some technical reasons why they want to do that, but that's just me being a geek. And they're also going to remove the chair. Now, again, I'm not quite sure where you put half the chairs in the casino. It's got to be expensive to put that someplace. And, whenever a casino goes through an expense, like remodeling or something, that flows down to us. So I watch some of these things and I think about the consequences. In any case, take a look at both of those videos. There's plenty to see and learn. Now, before I jump over to another thing, I'm going to find out what's going on with the chat. I should make a mark the last time I looked at what was going on. So William says he's 40 minutes from Springfield, MGM Springfield, 75 minutes from Boston Encore Harbor, Encore, was it Boston Harbor? No, Encore. And Southern Connecticut, Foxwoods, and Mohegan Sun. So 75 minutes away from all these great places. I used to live in Connecticut, and about halfway between all that. And where was I? Manchester. And that's where I lived. So it's a little closer to Massachusetts than it was to Mohegan Sun and Foxwood. But yeah, I get that. Nice drives. So Scott says, so far Lucky Star players have won 436 jackpots totaling, is that millions or billions? $1.1 almost $1 million at Concho, TC, Clinton, and Hammond. So these are all Lucky Star places. I had a comment from someone that was asking about that, and we might come to it later when we get into the slots communities. How much did the casino give back? All right, that's how much the casino gave back. How much did the casino get? Because we know that, and this is part of my next topic, we know that they made more than that. Otherwise, they can't pay for things. Now, you can maybe maybe the casino would choose to give more back than they received, but I just don't see that as a workable situation. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So we'll talk more on that. Lots more to talk about. I hate to keep on saying that. So Scott says he just posted a Red Screen Ninja slot chat. Oh, that number was just posted. Okay. Larry says, hearing loads of different rumors about Vegas, but as we can't travel yet, so it doesn't affect me. Yeah, Larry in the UK loves Las Vegas, tries to go once or twice a year, and not right now. Let's see, side conversations. All right, so conversations about traveling and whether that's possible. On a side note, I'm an aerospace engineer. Please save my job and fly somewhere. Kidding about the don't risk yourself. I'll be fine. Catherine's here. Hello, Catherine. Seems like it's been a while. I saw you on Facebook recently, but it's good to see you again. Larry is traveling, or talking about traveling. Scott is not talking about traveling. And Dean is making a firm statement of Vegas is not open yet. Okay, so Chip says the slot machine called Moneybags has been mentioned. That was the mention of a red screen, is that right? And he said he's tried that online. I'm sure it's fun. I'm not really into fun machines. I mean, fun is when I win. So So how does the casino make decisions on what slots to release? So we talked last time briefly about how most casinos who have any kind of recent slot machines, you can see this if you look through their annual reports. Mostly they rent slot machines, and but you can buy them, and it's a question of how many are actually bought. Certainly, if there's any risk of getting it not being popular, they'd want to return it, right? Otherwise, they just paid for something that they only use for 2 weeks. And but you have other casinos like riverboat casinos and other small places that have less of a budget, and they bought slot machines 15 years ago. Converted them from coin operated with a kit, and they own those. So last time we talked a little bit about which one's which, and mostly they've switched because it's just financially much more worthwhile to casino. Pays for itself. Is one of the ways to describe that, to switch over. So how do you make a decision? Well, what do you do when you make a decision about what model car to buy, new or used? They go through their plan. There's customer appeal. They get opinions from polls that they put out. What's your favorite slot machines? They get marketing data on those at other casinos. And, that you got all these salesmen coming in, salespersons coming in from slot manufacturers saying, this, and these are the numbers on them. And people seem to like them. And there's analysis after analysis, which they have to pay for. And so, they have a budget to figure this stuff out, because you make a mistake and it's expensive, and you put a little money into making a good decision like any business would. It's a business decision. It has to do feedback from customers, comments, likes, and all of that to decide what's going to work. They take a risk with a slot machine that's never been put out before, but on the other hand, sometimes those that are the first night of the Living Dead, Walking Dead, that first one that came from the show, they took a chance. Somebody took a chance, and other people just jumped on it, and now we all have them. Heck, Wheel of Fortune. How many decades has that been out? People made a decision, and then after that, they counted as one that you would want to get. People kind of expect, money bags. Maybe people are saying, you don't have a money bags machine? Well, I'm going to go to another casino that does. It's all the usual business decisions, and I've kind of gone on that for a little bit. Jen says she's learned to open these links during the program and watch them later before they disappear at the end. Yes, but that's still being here. But that's a fine idea. I should do the same thing myself, but I want to comment on some of these. Feel free to talk about whatever you want, but if it's slots related, then I might bring it up. Lois or Dave, family friends, so they're hoping for a trip to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, but not likely happening before late June for border. Right now, Lois and Dave, please be very careful to not tell everybody when you plan on being at Mount Pleasant, Michigan, because as you know, I promised to be there with you. Like I said, family, friends. My father will likely even be there. So don't give a specific date, or otherwise I might not show up with me and all my friends. So Larry says, that's Soaring Eagle, second largest casino in Michigan, a tribal casino, largest tribal casino. So Larry says, I'm reading a lot about casinos going non-smoking. That gets my vote, along with getting rid of resort fees. I think resort fees were kind of going away already. Certainly it was not working out as planned, and all of this, I think that was kind of in the works, I hope. And that's part of this. So one of the things we want to be careful about is, sort of separate from one from another. We have all this pandemic stuff, right? Casinos closed, it's major. But we also have things are progressing as far as the development of slot machines. It's a slow and gradual change. When casinos are open, you could go, a week, and there might not be a new casino at the end near the entrance at your casino. But now it's been 2 months, And so there's plenty of new machines. And when you go in, you could find them, besides, things being moved a little bit further apart, you could find a lot of new casinos, because one every week means, and it's been 3 months, means that you could find a lot of that. So some things are shut down. Some things are progressing as normal and are basically unaffected by the pandemic. So there's going to be a bunch of, these are little points I'm trying to make here. Some of the comments later will be like this. There are new things that are going to be out. And before, we got a new slot machine, TV show themed or something, near the entrance of your casino. People would like it, and it might stay, might move to another part of the casino, might not. But then if it's not liked, and it really is hit or miss, it would go away. Well, now you're going to have a bunch of new slot machines near the entrance, might not even have enough room, and again, half of them won't be liked. Instead of, 2 new machines, one stays and one goes quickly, you'll now have, 15 different machines. And the ones that aren't, and half of them aren't going to be liked by you, because they're new and people need to get data on them. So that's going to mix up that situation a little bit. They might have expanded that part of the casino with everything being shut down. They had plenty of time they can do stuff. So just remember that there is, focus. We have lines, we have half capacity, 30% capacity, maximum number of this many people, capacity issues, every other machine shut down. Maybe your machine shut down and the one next to it isn't. And ones that you like. So just understand we have pandemic issues, and then we have the usual ongoing issues. The reason why I started all this a couple of years ago, and that's still going on. So let's not take our eye completely off the ball. And right, so let's see. So Jan says Soaring Eagle is one of her favorite Michigan casinos. Yep, excellent. David says Oklahoma, while watching slots players winning. So you went into a casino in Oklahoma, watched slot players winning, the person saying to their friend, step ladder, big diamond, little diamond, what in the world are they talking about? That sounds like, okay, so people in other states don't have the same experience with certain types of slot machines that people in Oklahoma do. So you may remember a few minutes ago, I was talking about Class 2 games of skill, usually, particularly in Oklahoma, based on the game of bingo. One straightforward way to tell if you're playing a Class 2 or a Class 3 game of chance, Class 2 game of skill, or Class 3 game of chance machine, is whether or not it has a bingo card. Whether or not it has a bingo card on the screen. And the numbers fill in with time. And one way, and I haven't written an article on this because I have to get in front of a slot machine, a Class 2 slot machine, and there's one like 300 miles away, casino with them in Indiana, and I need to go figure them out. Just not local and traveling so restricted. But in any case, on the bingo card, you can watch it fill in as the bingo game is being played. And you can watch for diamond shape. You can watch for the step ladder. You can watch for the little diamond. And these are patterns for them to say whether or not they want to go to a different machine and play some other bingo game where, it's not just like random, but it looks like maybe a diamond's building or a stepladder's building. And apparently, and I don't have all the details, apparently if you start seeing certain types of patterns, you can win more often. But the bingo game that is based, that the slot machine is based on, the Class 2 game is based on, those patterns matter. And sometimes I think you can switch a bingo card and start fresh, or you can move to the next machine because its pattern looks a little bit more like you might win. And that's the sort of thing they're talking about. People who get really good at this are people who are, in a state that has them. Bingo machines. So it's hard to tell the difference, but you might notice a bingo machine. Also, VGT, I think, is if I got the name correctly, is a manufacturer of Class 2, so you can look for the little logo or you can look for the little bingo card, and that's how you can tell, because otherwise they're very, very similar in appearance, and it's hard to tell the difference between a Class 2 and a Class 3, and all this matters because they have different gaming rules and different ways to win. So that's what they were talking about. Steve, saw some video of people at Deadwood, South Dakota Casino this week, and they were get beat up pretty bad. They lost lots of money. Machines were tight from last week. The opening weekend paid very well. This is a right. I'm a member of every state by state slots community, and while there's only 3 or 4 casinos. States with casinos that have reopened, that is exactly what I'm seeing. People say, is it loose or is it tight? And I say it's initially loose, but then it tightens. So if you're going to go early, because they're trying to create positive buzz. It's a great business plan, but they got to tighten it up within maybe 4 hours of opening. One of the details that you could watch for, and this is be more easy to find nationwide once casinos reopen. Oklahoma, it seems as they close for part of the day, like 8 hours or something, and early morning hours to early 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So they close to clean. And we've been getting reports of the first 5 hours after they reopen. It's not just that first reopening, okay, it's open now, but every day they reopen. And we've been getting some reports on some casinos. This is what to watch for, and I'll talk about this in a moment. This is what we watch for, and the patterns, and that's what we're seeing at some casinos, maybe not yours. Now, I have a question from Jamie. I think that explains this. It's a common question. I wanted to share it. So Jamie asked a question on Professor Slots Enthusiast, I believe it was, Facebook group, Facebook Slots community. Jamie asked a question about casinos needing to make money. And I'll read you my response. It's kind of a long answer, but it really is on this topic we were just talking about. So I said, "Hi, Jamie. No doubt you are right, but remember that that's always been the case. On average, casinos have to make money, or they can't pay their bills. They can't keep the lights on. So, as always, if that's the regular situation, what are we doing? What we are doing, what I'm trying to offer, is pattern recognition, better money management, understanding state regulations. Should I play a Class 2 or should I play a Class 3? My casino has both. We are talking about ways to not be average. We are trying to figure out how to do better than average. I say, let the casinos make money. I hope that they will be able to do that, but I also hope that, we end up having 7 million people in all of our Facebook communities, and we start getting, changing state laws because we were voting bloc. I'd love for us to be huge. And that's when we might start having a problem with casinos, because we might prevent them from making as much money. But right now we're small, and we'll probably always be small. Even 100,000 people on this live stream would be small and not affect state economies and Caesars Entertainment revenues or anything like that. So we're good for a while, but let the casinos make money. But what we can do is also make money for ourselves, or at least break even. So what can we do? And I've asked members of our state communities, as you know, that with reopened casinos, to report back on casino conditions, not just what the restrictions are and the lines are like, but also on their results. And these details, casino by casino, state by state, is where you and others, I said at the time reading this, but should go for what your casino is doing. Go to the slots communities, see what's happening the night before this morning at your favorite casino, and you will get live information. I will try to report out to you, at least for a little while in these live sessions, because it's the most important thing I can offer, most helpful thing I can offer, a week by week, a Saturday by Saturday by Saturday report out. But if you want daily, if you want hourly, join the club. Join the slots community. It's free. It's private, state by state. ProfessorSlots.com/ /FB for Facebook, FB. And that'll give you the list, and you click, all the links are there, and you just click on whatever is appropriate, and it'll take you directly to that account and request to join, and I will get to it. But the only time I can't help you join is from 2 o'clock Eastern Time to 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturdays, because I'm doing this. But I will check after we're done here. But request to join. I'll make sure that you're not another company. I'm trying to protect you, and as we grow, it's going to get more people who are bad characters or something. There's something very suspicious about having someone's Facebook account started tomorrow, right? It's tomorrow in the Far East, right? It is tomorrow, and it's just strange that people come in and it's obvious that they're not there to be a member. They're there to do an advantage. They seem to be more focused on Oklahoma. Anyway, we've talked about this, so I've been trying to keep that clear of obviously, people looking to scam or whatever their motivations are. I don't really care. I'm getting better at not having a slip up. So you'll likely be able to join because you're a person and not a company trying to scam people. And so I'll let you in. Just be careful not to think it's unimportant. I've had people who did a music recital. I don't know what that was about. It's just like, we're focused here. If you're not going to be part of it, then don't do that. And respect everybody and all the community rules. But moving on, we've been getting comments from those people who have been to a casino in state-by-state communities with casinos that have reopened. If you join that and you haven't been to a casino, you can read some of those comments. If you join that and no one has commented, like we've been getting people that it's nice. It's nice. The people went to the casino and they were just so excited, and they were like, "I'm at the casino," and we're like, "So what was the line like? Are you winning? What could you tell us about the restrictions? Or do you ever wear a mask? I know you're excited, but if you could focus and tell us how, trip report, anything." And so sometimes they forget to actually say anything other than, "Yay, I got in. Wonderful." So ask them questions. And when you go in your state, when they reopen, please, provide a report. We all appreciate it. And I'll try to summarize this stuff for you guys 1 week later. So that's the long answer. But my more general answer is, and I told them I'd be sharing that told Jamie I'd be sharing it on today's show. The first 4 hours this is the general advice I've gotten from mostly Oklahoma casinos, was the first hours of being open appears to be winning times. We think to draw in more players to have a good reputation for the casino, but then after that 4 hours or so, and it's kind of general in Oklahoma. We'll see if there's a general result in Washington. And a general result in Washington, it seems to be, their tribal casino seems to be that they're not doing that. That it's just maybe the first day it was open and everything after that was just tight. Different take on it. But in Oklahoma, they've been open longer, and it just seems to be when they reopen daily or that original reopening, they're loose. And then afterwards, they tighten up. In Oklahoma, because they close for part of the day, it seems to be the beginning of each day when they open. That's something to watch for. Let us, confirm or deny that. Report in at the Oklahoma site, and we'll keep seeing if they change things. Because what I'm wondering is, we don't have much information right now. We have a week, 2 weeks, but I'm interested in knowing if it's all going to get tighter towards the end of the month because they have reporting to do, or will it all get looser? Because if they're too tight, like Washington, in Oklahoma, I think it'll probably be pretty steady. Whatever they're doing now, they'll probably continue to do it because I think they can survive with this. But if Washington is tight, how do they meet their legal requirements in their compacts? So the management of the tribal leaders, they have a certain expectation and of maintaining, not having the players hate the casinos and losing their, you get $1 from them now and you lose $1,000 later because they went away, or $10 now and, they don't come back for another 20 years and pay more. Too short-term thinking. And so I think Washington, if they're tight now, I think by the end of the month they're going to have to loosen. They're going to be in trouble. They might have to loosen too much than if they'd been a little bit loose now. And that's kind of the two things I'm seeing on the comments. One of the things we may not get to is actually reading through some of the comments on Oklahoma and Washington. This just, I could talk for hours on, just reading them off and my conclusions, but I wanted to give you a high level. I watch these every day. I try to provide a meaningful response to every comment, and I welcome all new visitors and those people who have joined, as soon as I possibly can. And I'm letting you know this is what the trends that we're seeing on all the comments in Oklahoma and Washington. And as more states have casinos that reopen and a few days go by and a week goes by, and we'll start understanding more week by week instead of the immediate reopening, we'll just start understanding a little bit more about month by month, beginning of month, end of month, middle of month. Is it loose on all of those? What's going on state by state? So please join the communities and for your state in anticipation of your casinos reopening if they haven't already, and report in so we all learn. Right. So that's much of what I wanted to say about state by state, week by week, day by day, towards the beginning, towards the end, later away from it. So understand. We think the comments that I've been getting are, we think about casinos being loose or tight as though it is the casino's decision. And while the casino is the operator, they have people leaning on them that might dictate what they do. For instance, if it's a commercial casino, and we haven't seen too many of those open, you've got state law. What, the state's going to not get their income tax? I don't think so. There's law. My mind kind of goes blank when I think about, well, maybe the enforcement division of the state police won't actually prosecute if they. Oh no, I think they will. The state wants their bit. Now there may be less laws on the books, but. For tribes, but that's still the same sort of thing going on within the tribe. Tribal leaders expect a certain amount of income. They're desperate for all their people who aren't working, and healthcare concerns and getting more masks and all that. So they're pushing on tribal casinos as well. So remember, there's a whole bunch of people behind the casino who's kind of, they're owners, people they're responsible to, who will hear back, have a say. And so I'm kind of wondering what that situation's like. And some of these responses we're getting, you might say tribal leaders in Oklahoma for a certain tribe aren't pushing as hard because that casino is loose, right? Well, that's all driven by the tribal leaders having people in communities who may have lost a bunch of their jobs, a certain amount, which is probably something very similar throughout the state. And it's not really dependent on the tribe. But Washington might have a different circumstance. And, the Seattle cases was first and huge, as well as New York. And I think Seattle was biggest first. And they could be more severely affected because of that. And those people, tribal leaders who saw that for their tribal, who are the operators for the tribal casinos, are pushing. So it may, if we look at economic conditions, I was reminded of this. I'm working my audiobook and I'm listening to the final draft of Mastered and all that. And one of the things I was reminded of is that, Washington is going to, like, for instance, Washington and casinos base a lot of what they can do on the current economic situation. You'd be surprised how well it's connected. And so Washington may be tight, and how could we not have guessed that? I'm going to check in with the chat quickly. One more thing I wanted to cover besides maybe jump into some of the slots communities is on the slots communities, I put out a link to that virus. I don't want to use that word too often. YouTube is running an AI through our chat, our conversation, the words I say, and they can they're trying to restrict how much that's being used. But American Casino, American what is it? ASA? No, AGA, American Gaming Association, put out a casino tracker, and it shows which casinos are open and not, and it's supposed to also track the disease, and take a look. And that's the link I just dropped into the live chat, and will be available later for the podcast listeners and the video people watching the video later. So let's check in with chat before we jump to something that's next. Let's see how this is going. All right. Non-smoking from Larry, Soaring Eagle from Jan, David about bingo machines. Steve says he saw videos of people at Deadwood, South Dakota Casino. Yeah, tight there. Yep. That might be commercial. That's commercial, right? So it's not tribal. And so if there's anything pushing them, it would be the state. Right, Scott. What machines do I play? Honestly, the ones I win on. The ones that probably have a bonus round, not always. The ones that, I can give you specific games, but, I like some of the TV themed ones, but again, the ones that I win on, I'm trying to be, I don't believe, part of my philosophy, and this is a main part of what I'm about on Professor Slots, is it's not the game. It's not the game theme. You might look at the game theme and say, oh, that's new. And you might make some considerations on it being near the entrance, but it's not like it's my favorite show. Now, I admit I played The Big Bang Theory in North Kansas City when I was there, because I never, it was a bench. It was just this huge wheel. I liked that, but I didn't stay because I wasn't winning. So can you really say you liked it, right? I'm a science fiction fantasy person. I've read that sort of stuff all my life, and that's personally what I like. But as far as Professor Slots, I have two things. The first one is, am I winning? And very much related to that is there something about this machine that that you want me to explain, that you want me to evaluate, and I have my own problems with that because I don't believe the theme matters. Its position in the casino is far more relevant, but sometimes that's important, where the machine is important, particularly if it's a class 2 bingo machine, because I want to explain how to win on machines that have a bonus round, how to win on machines that's based on bingo, how to win on machines that's, there are different types of machines, and I like to explore the new and interesting, and I like to answer your questions, and that's what I like. All right, my goal when I enter a casino is to learn something for you. If I wanted to make money, I would go to a casino until I found one machine, one out of 3 machines, up to 3 machines in 81 casino. That would be the winner, and I would never do anything else. I hope for that for you. I hope that you find a machine that you win on, and then that's what you play. Like I did, more or less. I found a way to win at a casino, and it didn't matter which slot machine it was when I was winning 90 taxable jackpots in 9 months and then the car. But in another place, it was like, well, this is how you win, but I know this one and this one have been set up a little bit differently from the others, so I just sat there. It got a little boring after about 9 months of just playing one machine, but I do really like the Wheel of Fortune. It gave me some great pictures of high limit jackpots and never seen so many $100 bills in my life. So that was enjoyable. Okay. So yeah, VGT is the manufacturer of bingo card machines, Class 2 bingo machines. Games of skill look very similar to Class 3 Vegas-style slots, except it's got small changes. And if you watch for VGT logo, business logo, they only make Class 2. They might have recently done some changes to the company. It's a good thing, but mostly it's just Class 2. So Scott says, how soon are you going to try out a casino now? Well, the last time I went was like 2 weeks before they all closed. And I'm in Ohio. I'm not traveling too much. I would like to get to Soaring Eagle with Dave and Lois and my father and his wife this summer, but only if they reopen. And then I need to get over to South Bend, Indiana. What is it? Something Win. Yeah, and play their Class 2, so I can write that article on that. And as if it were normal, I'd go. There's a lot to do. I don't know if I could go weekly. The goal was really every 2 weeks, and not the same one every time, unless more to study. Like Miami Valley Gaming in Ohio is on the way to work and on the way home, and sometimes it's great to keep up on that one. It's easiest and most convenient, but basically the job is to wherever I travel, hit every casino and write a report on it. That's my plans. Going out for fun, well, I do hope buffets come back. I just love a good buffet. So Denise talking to Scott. Yep. Dean says, do you think moving forward slot machines will have a self-sanitizing feature using a UV light across the panel buttons? UV light is bad for your eyes. Not me, because UV protection, but people who are not wearing contacts, not wearing glasses, what's the long-term damage on that? So there's a lot to be figured out. I saw that self-wiping feature on, it looked like an animation, and I was like, I'm not sure if self-wiping, people could hook their pinky and sue the casino. I don't know. So I if you get an idea, you might want to patent it and come up with an amazing solution. And for as far as all this stuff, my business may need to adapt. To ideas having to do with the 3 slot machines, the middle one's turned off, and one of the things, tips here, not tips on winning, tips on these restrictions. Please understand that when you have a 300 capacity, or every other slot machine, or every third slot machine, 1 out of 3 is turned off. One of the things you need to be aware of is that casinos are asking people who are sitting next to their friend who is playing, you need to be actively playing, or they'll ask you to get up from the slot machine that you're sitting at and not playing. I think that's going to become common. I've seen spouses playing, one's playing, the other one's talking to them, sitting down in the next slot machine. That's the sort of thing that I think is going to be over as long as there's a capacity limit, highly restrictive. The casinos want people to play, and if you're just sitting there, they're going to ask you to go, get up, or I don't know if they'd ask you to leave. They might. So that's the sort of changes that are coming. So Scott says he's going to Downstream in Miami, Oklahoma next week. Yeah, let us know. And let's see. You're welcome, Chip. And let's see. Jan says Louisiana casinos are opening on Wednesday. Don't know what time or how long they'll be open per day. Let us know. Are you able to cross? You're in Texas, and as I think everybody was listening earlier knew. Can you still get across the state border? I know you were saying that the state police were stopping people, blocking people, and they had to take the side roads in order to get across state lines. Were you able to go from Texas to Louisiana? You can let us know on the Louisiana slots community or the Texas one how that goes, because that seems important. Steve. Yeah. Hey, everybody, have a great week. Absolutely right. We're about a minute from the end, and I hope it was a helpful conversation. I hope the links, give you a look inside casinos. That alone might be worth them. But then when's the next time you're ever going to see a closed, empty casino where they're reporting on it on CNN? That's great. So, thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Have fun. Be safe. Make good choices. And I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the second segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is New Mexico slot machine casino gambling in 2020. Here goes. New Mexico slot machine casino gambling consists of 22 tribal casinos, plus another 5 racinos with racetracks. Further, there are over 50 nonprofit sites offering slots. New Mexico has many more slot machines per state resident than any other U.S. state. Tribal casinos, commercial racinos, and nonprofit organizations have set a minimum theoretical payout limit. None publicly report return statistics. The minimum legal gambling age in New Mexico depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos and poker rooms, it's 21. For bingo, there is no age limit. For the lottery and parimutuel wagering, it's 18. Parimutuel wagering has been legal since the 1930s, having a thriving industry until the late 1980s, when Texas legalized parimutuel wagering. Recovery and stability occurred when New Mexico legalized offering slot machines in their racinos. In 1995, the state and 25 federally recognized American Indian tribes, or Pueblos, negotiated 13 identical state tribal gaming compacts, eventually approved after various delays. Each tribe is associated with at least one Indian casino in New Mexico. Several amendments made to the 1995 state tribal compacts include a requirement that the tribal casinos report a net win amount. These compacts currently expire in 2037. Each of New Mexico's 5 racinos can have up to 750 gaming machines, including 600 of their own and another 150 leased for a different racino. For these racinos, the state collects 26% of the net take in monthly gaming taxes. Further, 20% of the net take from racino gaming machines must go to Horsemen's Purses, which has been a significant amount. In fiscal year 2014, Horsemen's Purses received over $50 million from gaming revenues. Finally, a thriving charitable gaming industry exists in New Mexico. Dozens of nonprofit organizations legally offer electronic gaming machines like the slot machines found at New Mexico's racinos. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. Privately owning a slot machine has only recently become available in New Mexico. Legal restrictions on obtaining it are highly limited to the following terms. 1. It must be purchased from a distributor or manufacturer licensed to distribute and manufacture slot machines in New Mexico. 2. Only such New Mexico licensed distributors and manufacturers may transport gaming machines in New Mexico. 3. The homeowner may not make a profit from having the slot machine. 4. Persons who play on the machine can play for winnings only. 5. The homeowner may not offer the slot machine for resale without a license. 6. The homeowner may not transport a slot machine from one location to another without a license. And 7. A homeowner charging a fee to play or keeping a portion of monies for any reason would be commercial gambling, which, without a gaming license, is a felony. As an exception, an antique gambling device can be legally owned without restriction, provided it was manufactured before 1970, as well as is not used in gambling. In 1997, the state legislature established the New Mexico Gaming Control Board. The Control Board's website is both highly comprehensive and easy to navigate, including maps of commercial racetrack racinos and nonprofit casinos in New Mexico. In this section, I discuss New Mexico gambling establishments. There are 22 American Indian tribal casinos and 5 commercial racinos in New Mexico. The largest casino in New Mexico is Sandia Resort and Casino with 2,300 gaming machines. The second largest casino is Route 66 Casino Hotel with 1,900 gaming machines. There are 5 commercial pari-mutuel wagering racinos with slot machines in New Mexico. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list along with links to their websites, assuming they've set one up, is available on my website blog article for this state at professorslots.com/nm. There are 22 tribal casinos owned and operated by 25 tribes and pueblos with state tribal gaming compacts in New Mexico. Again, as usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list along with links to their websites, assuming they've set one up, is available on my website blog article for this state at professorslots.com/nm. As an alternative to enjoying New Mexico slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering New Mexico is, to the north, Colorado, to the east, Oklahoma and Texas, to the south, Texas and the country of Mexico, and to the west, Arizona. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit professorslots.com followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my Colorado Slots article is available at professorslots.com/co. New Mexico also offers slot machines at licensed veterans and fraternal nonprofit organizations. Over 50 nonprofit gaming licenses are spread throughout the state. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in New Mexico? If so, join our New Mexico Slots community on Facebook at professorslots.com/FBNM. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near New Mexico. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, professorslots.com/FBNM. Join us. The theoretical payout limit for all slot machines in New Mexico is 80%, whether at a tribal casino, commercial racino, or nonprofit veteran and fraternal organization. Return statistics are unavailable from commercial racinos, tribal casinos, and nonprofit organizations. In summary, New Mexico slot machine casino gambling consists of 22 tribal casinos, 5 commercial pari-mutuel racetracks with slot machines, and over 50 veteran and fraternal organizations spread across the state. All slot machines have a theoretical payout limit of 80%. There are no legal requirements that tribal casinos, racinos, or nonprofits publicly provide return statistics for electronic gaming machines. In the last year, the Teskew Casino opened in Santa Fe. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is a live Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is professorslots.com/live. Feel free to stop by any time during my hour-long Q&A. To suggest a topic or ask a question which might end up as a blog article or on a podcast episode, email it to john@professorslots.com, where John is spelled Jon. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of New York. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at professorslots.com/episode 91. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.